And here we go. Welcome back. Welcome to the Wednesday word, which means what? Well, first, it means it's Wednesday. And on Wednesdays, we do what I like to call the Wednesday word. The Wednesday word means I'm going to crack open a dictionary. Hey, let me introduce myself real quick. Hey, my name is David Bradley. I work with Grant Cardone, and this is Wednesday and the Wednesday word. There we go. That feels better. So what do we do on Wednesday? I'm going to crack open the dictionary. I'm going to find a success-themed word. In fact, I got a list of about 181 words I'm going through right now. We're going to take a look at what the word means, its definition, the etymology, where it came from, and then most importantly, how to take this word and then plug it into your sales and your business and your life. How often are we using words every single day that we've totally taken for granted and we really don't know what they mean? In fact, maybe somebody says something to you in a sentence and you're like, what does that word mean? I've used it before, I've heard it before, and next thing you know, you've missed like 5 minutes of conversation because you've been stuck on this word that you didn't even know. That ever happen? Happens to me. Okay, so what we do is we want to understand these words. Why? Because the first lesson I learned from Grant Cardone when I got in the business was that selling is a conversation, and then power comes from the words that you use. So let's look at these words. Let's see what kind of power we can get from them and then plug them into our sales and our business and our life. Today's word is an awesome word. Today's word literally could change everything for you. Are you ready? Today's word is perception. Yes, perception. Now, the Wednesday word also has a hashtag, which is Wednesday wisdom. So I want you to just be very, very cognizant of the amount of wisdom that is in the word perception. So perception, first and foremost, what is it? It's a noun, which means it's a person, place, or thing. Here's the question before we get into the definitions of perception. When you look in the mirror, when you look in the mirror, who is looking back? If you're having a conversation, what are you basing the decisions that you're making about who you're talking to on? How do you literally see the world around you? I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Do you see the world, the universe, as a friendly universe or a hostile universe? That perception means everything. Okay? So let's look at the definition of the word perception. The ability to see, hear, or become aware of something through the senses. The state of being or process of becoming aware of something through the senses. And then the third is a way of regarding, understanding, or interpreting something, a mental impression. Remember that joke from the first airplane movie? What's your impression of Ted Stryker? I don't do impressions. So think about that, though. It's a mental impression. It is what you think it is. Doesn't necessarily make it real. Your perception is not always going to be real. I mean, it's your reality, but it may not be the reality. Follow? So when you look at the etymology, the origin of that word, the history, where did we get it? Where did it come from? Late Middle English, from Latin base, and then from a verb, which is also Latin, percipere, if I'm pronouncing that right. But what that means, to the action, the verb behind it, is to seize understanding. That's right, seize understanding. So your action idea, what I want you to do with this word, right? Because it's not just, okay, now we know what it means. Now we know that we're becoming aware of things through our senses. That's our sight, our taste, our smell, our hearing, right? Acuity, our feeling, right? Our gut, okay? Or it's a process of becoming aware of something, or it's just the mental impression that you have. Right? There's a lot of perception going on right now, politically speaking, right? May not always be reality, but it's very real to the person who has the perception. So what I want you to start thinking with as we look to seize understanding are a couple different quotes. These are your action ideas. I want you to take these quotes and we're going to literally start looking at what to do with them now that we understand the definition and the history of perception. Grant says this, quote unquote, "It doesn't matter how others perceive you. What matters is how you perceive yourself." And this is the most important perception of all. like how the condition or quality of something, like how do you perceive yourself? You, right? How do you? The condition or quality of something. That's the word that's what how means. How is the condition or quality of something? So how do you perceive yourself? I asked that question earlier. And know this, that whatever your perception of yourself is that it is and it always will be earned. Your perception of you is earned. It wasn't given, wasn't forced. It was a decision that you made, that you earned through your actions. Which leads me to this great quote from your Uncle G. Problems are opportunities. So how do you perceive the world around you? You literally have a choice. Like what you think is there may be very, very different once you change your perception. If you'd like to make more money, then to the degree you start to see problems as opportunities, the faster you'll change and increase your income. So let's challenge your perceptions on a couple things. Because ultimately, this is about sales, business, and life. So let's change your perceptions on a couple different things, or challenge them at the very least. Money is abundant and available to you. What's your perception of that? When you hear that statement, what is your perception? Money is abundant and available to you. Failure. What are your perceptions of failure? What are your perceptions on your ability to improve and grow? What would be your perceptions on the amount of time you actually have? Do you perceive that you have no time? If that is your perception, that is your reality. What is your perception about the opinions of other folk? Do they matter? What if they didn't? What if you could change that perception? Blame as a scapegoat. What is your perception of blame as a scapegoat? How do you use blame? How do you perceive blame? And what are your perceptions on the conditions of your life are only your responsibility? How do you perceive that statement? The conditions of your life are only your responsibility. How do you perceive that? What responses are you having right away? What if you flip that perception a little bit? Okay. How do you perceive these 7 things I just listed off? What could your life be like if you made the appropriate shifts? Would you let go of any old perceptions that could be holding you back in order to have a better perception of you and your life? And then when would be the best time to do that? And that, my friends, is your Wednesday wisdom. Thank you so much for being here on the Wednesday Word. I want to drop 2 more pieces of perception quotes that you can start thinking with right now. One of which comes from my good buddy, Dr. Wayne Dyer, which is when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And I feel like that's such an appropriate quote for what we talked about today that I didn't want to wrap the podcast up without dropping that little nugget on you. And then my good friend, Stephen R. Covey, it's one of the 7 habits of highly effective people. It's the 4th habit. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. So think with those 4 quotes that I've given you today. Number 1, it doesn't matter how others perceive you. What matters is how you perceive yourself. And then 2, problems are opportunities. Those are both Uncle G. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. That comes from Stephen R. Covey. And then change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. Okay, this is all on perception. Let me know what you got out of this. I'd love to get some feedback from you. If you're getting benefit from the Wednesday Word, make sure that you're sharing it out there into the cyberspace. Also, throw me some faves, throw me some likes, throw me a thumbs up, comments, anything that you're getting out of it. Let me know how it's helping. And last but not least, the words of Uncle G, be great, because nothing else pays. See you next week.